When you actually own these kinds of decisions, whether that's your visibility strategy, your new pricing, what you're doing with your team, what rooms you're investing to be in, it doesn't matter what it is. But when you are holding yourself back and you're not showing up as the leader that you are, you become invisible. And when you do make these decisions, even if they don't pan out the way you think they do, you move into an energy of leadership that is very powerful and has a completely different energetic draw. You are listening to Amplify Your Success podcast, episode 468. And today, let's dive into why leading the conversation and your industry matters. You ready for this? Let's get started. Welcome to the Amplify Your Success podcast. Get ready to ramp up your revenue, amplify your impact, and make your mark in the world. This is the show for experts, thought leaders, and service professionals who want to shatter their limits and achieve that next level. You're going to find out from other experts and influencers how they made it. Now, let's get amplified. Hey there, inspired entrepreneurs and business leaders. It's your host, Melanie Benson, Authority Amplifier. And today we're going to delve into a slightly different kind of conversation. I want to talk about leading the conversation and making decisions that shift how you are perceived, shift things on an energetic level that people may not even really understand what's happened. But it shifts who you're being, it shifts the energetic draw, it shifts the entire awareness and brand positioning that you have in your industry. I've talked a lot in the last few months about what shifts I'm seeing in the industry of coaching and podcasting, and none of them are bad, but they are creating change. And sometimes that change is hard to navigate, and sometimes it just creates a vortex, a portal, if you will, of opportunity for us to step into. And having been a coach working for myself for 24 plus years, I say plus because I worked as a coach for a year as a side hustle while I was getting my stuff sorted out. And what I have noticed is that every time we go through these really huge pivotal changes in an industry, there's the people that hold on for dear life to what has been, and there are the people that quickly shift into what's emerging and capitalize on that. And then there are the people who are really looking for the cue, the gateway, if they will, of how they're meant to be with the change. I'm one of those people. I tend to kind of be in that messy middle for a while. And so I want to explore some things with you today about what 5 decisions you might need to make right now that can energetically catapult you into a version of yourself and a version of your business that the world needs as we move into the new year. And some of this has to do with my own journey. I'm making some more pivots. Pivot's probably not the right word. I'm making some adjustments. There has been a fence I've been writing for probably a year, and a good friend of mine's been holding space. She's coached me on this and supported me through this, and I finally said yes. All the energy was pointing towards now. Now is the time. And if you've been on the fence with something like that, here are some of the things that you might need to look at and shift and address to A, create the space, or B, to have the potency that you need. And I'm going to be digging into this a lot. One of the big changes, I'll let the cat out of the bag, is I've started a private podcast. And right now, the private podcast is only available to the members of something brand new I'm just opening the doors to for 2026. And that's called the Rising Tide Collective. And it is a community-based experience where I get to help you curate and help facilitate making powerful connections with extraordinary leaders in your space, people who are up to big things, that actually become your collaboration ecosystem. And over the last month, I've been teaching on collaboration, and wow, it's just been in my face. Okay, Melanie, this is what you do. You have always done it. My business, my before 2010 was actually called Success Connections. I am a connector. And I've done it so naturally, and those superpowers that you have when you do them and you're like, "Oh yeah, whatever, that's okay. That's just something I do." And yet it's something that is not everybody's natural superpower. And so the Rising Tide Collective is open for applications. It is a very powerful container. It's a community. It is what I like to think of as like it's a rising tide. It's an uplifting energy. So I'll share a little bit more about that towards the end. If that's something that speaks to you as someone who's emerging as a leader, who knows it's time to grow your reach, to collaborate and co-create opportunities with other extraordinary high vibe people, well, this may be something that's perfect for you. So let me talk about how I got here a little bit. And I am going to unpack this in a much deeper way inside my private podcast. This is where I'm going to be really kind of like dialing things in, sharing a little bit more behind the scenes, taking people into some of my decision making, my alignment strategies, what human design is doing for me and my clients, the launches that we're doing and what's working, what's not. I'm really going to go in and unpack a lot of that from the perspective of what it means to lead in change. Like, what does it mean to lead as an impactor and an initiator, right? As a catalyst. So I'm excited to get into that. But this year, 2025, was very cauterizing. It was clarifying. There have been many years where I've walked through fire, and this wasn't necessarily fire, but there was a lot of big changes in my world, starting with the loss of my mother-in-law, who's been such a huge gift to me in my relationship with my husband. She was a very healing force in my life, and there was a lot that we went through around her transition. And it really brought me to a place of looking at what was giving me energy and what was stealing energy from me. And this is a little foreshadowing of an episode that I'm going to drop in the new private podcast for my Rising Tide Collective members on some of the powerful questions to ask yourself to prepare your energetic self, your body, your soul, your consciousness for what you're being called into in the new year. And this was a huge one for me because I wrestled some tigers. I wrestled some dragons, actually, with letting go of some things that were good, but they weren't really serving me. And so one of those things is recognizing when you have a team that is built to hold you hostage in the past versus a team that is designed to not just support you where you're going, but actually to fuel the best parts of you. And for everybody, this is going to look different. I am a manifestor in human design. I have an emotional authority, and I'm a 6-2 profile. So that's just the basics right there. And when I have team, I have to have team that allows me to stay in my best manifestor energy. And if I have team that is causing me to not be in that, it quickly does not work. And I finally found a really extraordinary business manager this year that has been the perfect balance to my manifestor energy. But that also meant I had to let go of some people that I was very attached to as friends, probably a little bit of that safety net. There were some people that, we were caught in some patterns together that were holding both parties back. And when you outgrow somebody, or when there is a good enough, but it's not really amazing fit with your team, you end up spending a lot of your time in an energetic drain. And this can become toxic very quickly. It can become a festering wound that keeps you from making the leap. And if you operate in the manifestor energy at all in human design, like, this is critical. I mean, I think it's important for any type, but in particular for the manifestors. So one thing that keeps people from being able to close out a relationship or a team member that's not serving them is the sense of, will I get anything better, right? Especially if you got that in your relationship patterning. But what I found was I was so busy. I had so much going on. Like every time I had to hire, we would break 7 things to fix 10. And it was a dance that was really costing me a lot. So I took some time to really get clear. What am I saying yes to out of fear or out of a sense of, I don't know if I can get better, that's actually holding me hostage in a version of the business I don't want to be in anymore. And it was transformational, scary and transformational. So when you upgrade to aligned, proactive support with people who execute fast and are in their strengths and actually enable you to be the best version of you in your role, it's almost like somebody puts turbochargers on you and you can just take off, but you're also going the right direction. So don't be afraid to really look at and assess, do I have the right people in the right spots on my team? And do I need to release things that are not working? I remember coaching a very, very well-known business coach many years ago. And this was in a previous mastermind that I hosted. And she was going from early 6 figures to high 6 figures and then eventually went into 7 figures. And one of the things we absolutely had to look at was, okay, you have these people that you always take back the work and do it over because you're loyal to them, but they're not able to proactively step into what you need right now. And releasing that person became easier after the decision, actually after the clarity was there, and then the decision, I will have team members who are supporting where I'm going. And this was a very powerful upgrade moment for that client of mine. So faster results, more aligned results, more stress-free growth happens for you when you have the right team. I have a client right now who one of the things she's struggling with is she keeps waiting for this assistant who's a friend of hers to come back from traveling to work on stuff. And I'm like, can you afford to wait for someone else to have the time to do the things you need right now? No, you can't. So I could probably give you 20 billion examples of the cost of having the wrong team or the wrong person on in key roles, or even not even having team. I know sometimes people cut back, and this is what goes first. You have to have team if you want to leap. Okay, so first, letting go of the wrong team and really choosing to have a aligned team that can enable you for liftoff. Let's go into number 2. This one is getting a little bit deeper into your visibility. And I did a series this summer that I'm actually going to drop inside the private podcast because it was so powerful. And it was so extraordinary to hear from other people who are leaders in their business, in their industry, what happens when they stop playing it safe and they start owning and leading the bold conversation. What many of us do, and I have certainly done this as well, is we fall into this safe content. The content where I know I need to put something out, but I don't know what I want to say, so I'm going to say the thing that I know I can say. Or I don't really want to attract the haters and the trolls, so I'm going to put something out that feels comfortable. And here's what I know. Comfortable is where leaders go to be invisible. This is where you go to fly under the radar. And that might be because you're working some stuff out and you're not ready yet, which is perfectly acceptable. But oftentimes we never get out of flying under the radar, and you are not owning the conversation that needs to be had. And so that ends up being a tiny hole in your power. It acts like a leak to your confidence, to your courage, to you owning the conversation that you must be having, not just so you could be seen, so you can make impact. So you can shake up the status quo and lead. The world needs leaders right now. Being good at what you do just isn't enough anymore. And I don't care what your expertise is. When you step into being a leader and you lead the conversation and you own the bold message that you've been secretly hiding out, maybe you'll share it with a friend. Maybe in a private conversation, it'll leak out. But when you are willing to fully integrate that bold message, and sometimes that's about doing the energetic work to hold that message. Sometimes it's about getting the nervous system regulated and having the capacity to be seen at that level. That certainly may need to happen. But when you really own it, this is what moves people. This is what energetically propels you and your work. This is what puts you on the radar of the people that are searching for what it is that you are here to do. This is what zings people and makes you memorable. It takes you out of being ignored and invisible and into that unignorable quality. But if you don't know what that message is and you haven't integrated it, because there's knowing and there's integrating, right? Like this year, I integrated a whole nother level of what my message is supposed to be about. I had bits and pieces, but I'll be completely transparent about this. I did not own it because I probably had some old fears and some, I don't know how, right? All the things, the conversations we have in our head about what really owning it looks like. It's not convenient. It's not comfortable. It never is. But if you are built to lead and you're here for great impact, you know you cannot play it safe. And you've been feeling it for a while, right? Like, tell me you get this. So this is what that next shift is about for you. Now, when you have really kind of cleared the energetic holes, when you have the wrong team and you start to really integrate and embrace your content, the content that's going to move energy, now we got to look at what's the transformation you're really here to deliver. Because truthfully, you are probably doing it. Now, wait, let me take a step back. If you are not seeing the impact you thought you were going to have, if you are seeing starts and stops, if you are having less people come into your programs than you imagined, yeah, some of it could be in the industry is a mess right now, but it's probably something much deeper. And that is you are not fully owning the transformation you're here to deliver. And I'm going to raise my hand right now. I'm going to say, I did that. I have been doing what I am so good at for so long. And it is part of my superpowers. But I had to own a few months back that there's transformation I am here to deliver. And I hadn't integrated it yet. And it took a little bit. I kind of got into some messy energy to really integrate and embrace it. And I'm still integrating some of it. But here's what I know. I am here to work with people that are meant to lead. They are built to lead. But they have been holding themselves back. Okay, so here are some of the decisions you may need to make. Are you truly delivering the transformation that your soul is calling you to do? That keeps haunting you in your dreams? And are you positioning your transformation to the right people? So there's a whole positioning piece around what's the transformation you're really here to do? What's your great work in the world? And who is it for? And then are you positioning that and pricing that in a way that actually attracts the right clients? So here's what I know a lot of people do. They do what's safe. They do what's easy. They do what, they charge what's safe. And yet the business model still isn't working. It's still overwhelming them. It's still exhausting. It's still kind of eking out what it is you could really be doing. And again, this could be a capacity issue. You may not necessarily have the inner capacity, the belief in yourself, the confidence, the nervous system regulation, the energetics to hold the container that you're here to do. That's work we can do together. That's work that can get resolved. But you have to decide, I'm here for something bigger. Now it's time to do the work to integrate that. Are you willing to step into the transformation you're here to deliver? That decision is the most important decision you might make right now. And even if you don't know how, which is kind of where I was, I'm like, okay, how do I shift from where I was to where I know I'm supposed to go? Sometimes it's just simply make the decision, and then the pieces fall into place. We'll talk about that more soon. Fourth is owning your spotlight. Look, if you're here to lead, if you're meant to be part of a rising tide, if you know that you have great work and you want to get out there in a bigger way, you have to own being in the spotlight. And that means you have to recognize it is not your job to blend in, to fly under the radar, to play it safe. Look, I get if you have wounding, if you have trauma that's not been resolved, if you have been burned, if you are exhausted, all the things, right? Like all of those are very, very real. But when you are in that space, you are also going to be in such deep internal conflict because you know you are here for more. You're meant for more. You are built to lead. You are built to impact. You are built to move people into action. Right? Tell me I'm right. Tell me that you go, oh yeah, Melanie, I know you see me right now. Are you in my head with me? Because if you have this desire to use your superpowers, your wisdom, your training, your knowledge, your life experience to move people in a more powerful way, and you're not fully stepped into that, and you haven't owned the spotlight, whatever that is, hosting events, writing a book, starting a podcast, being a guest on other people's stages, whatever that is, and to do that full out, that means you are letting fear make your growth decisions. You're probably stuck in a form of logic. So definitely go listen to the podcast episode I did with my fellow leader friend, Natalie Ledwell. Because until you own your spotlight, you're not going to move people. Okay, so you are the face of your message. You are the face of the work that you are here to do, the transformation that you deliver. And you need to find a way to bring the spotlight to you so that you can move people into action. And if that scares the living bejesus out of you, then you definitely need to heal that, and you need to transform it, and you need to integrate being seen. This is the work I've been doing for the last few years, and I love it. I absolutely love it. And again, it starts with the decision. Are you ready to face whatever the fear is and integrate what you're here to do so that you can positively influence the lives of others and get paid well to do that? Okay, so when you integrate and own the spotlight, what that means is that you find a way to be seen in your great work with your message so that it's magnetic and it acts like that lighthouse that pulls people in. You don't have to do it my way, but you do have to find your way. Okay, so you got to own your spotlight, and that takes the decision. And then fifth, it's time to invest in being in the right rooms. Whatever that means for you. It could be a virtual room. It could be an in-person room. It could be a local association. It could be a global mastermind. But if you are here to do great work, the conversations that are happening in the rooms that you're in are either lifting you up and inspiring you and growing you and challenging you and elevating you, or they're acting like an anchor, keeping you in your safety zone. If the conversations in the room that you're in are full of fear and only talking about what's not working anymore and limiting you and causing you to stop believing in yourself, then you are in the wrong rooms. If you are being emotionally manipulated and shamed and using fear tactics to get you into action, you're in the wrong room. And I will say that being in the right rooms sometimes takes a little bit of trial and error. Not every room is your room. If it's working for someone else and it doesn't work for you, that's not about you. That's about alignment. Oh my gosh, this was such a big lesson for me. I, many years ago, just had such a challenge recognizing why I would go to certain masterminds, and I literally felt like I wanted to shrink and disappear. And then I would be in other rooms and I would feel like I was coming alive. And I'm going to give you two different examples of what this was like for me. I remember flying to Arizona one time. I'd been invited to this exclusive high-end mastermind with all these movers and shakers. And I brought my marketing manager with me. And we head to this mastermind and drive into the hotel, walk into the room, all excited. And about 2 hours into this meeting, I remember just thinking, what am I doing here? The conversations were like not the conversations that I had imagined. They were certainly not feeling aligned for me. The tactics they were talking about, I was like, ooh, like I'm not doing that. Like and it wasn't about having a limitation or a fear of growing my business. It was about, this was a big disconnect between their values and my values. And I didn't know enough back then to really understand how to vet the being in the right rooms. But boy, was that a wake-up call. And I could give you 20 examples of that. I recently left a online mastermind, not because it wasn't full of great people, but because I would show up and I was like, yeah, this is not feeling like a rising tide to me. These are not people I want to co-create and collaborate with. So it wasn't about it being the wrong room for everybody. It just wasn't necessarily my space, which is why partly I decided to create my own community, because I wanted to create a community that was highly curated with people that are here to lead, that are doing great work in the world, that understand the nuances of integrating a safe place, but also holding the vision of what's possible for somebody and this deep desire to create win-win-win collaborations. It's like, that's what I wanted. That's what I've always wanted. And I decided I'm creating my version of this now. So yes, it took me a while to get here, but being in the right room, if you don't want to create your own, then find a room that lifts you up, that provides opportunity. Doesn't mean it's not work. It doesn't mean there's not efforting. It means that when you step into that room, you feel like you're home. You feel seen. You feel like you are expanded, and you are allowing other people to support you, and you're rising together. Because the whole reason I call it the Rising Tide Collective is that when you have the right people in the right room together and you practice collaboration, one person moving up brings everybody up together. And then every time one of the boats rises, it brings the other boats up. So you have to think about, what decision do you need to make about the rooms that you're in? Do you need to leave some rooms that are not lifting you up? One of my clients has told me that traditional masterminds actually don't work for her because it's hard for her to filter out aligned feedback versus unsolicited advice that doesn't really line up for her. One of the things I do as a coach is every piece of advice, every strategy, every decision that I make with a client is deeply tuned to their personal, most aligned, energetic blueprint. And if it's not aligned to that, then they don't decide to do it. There is no cookie cutter wisdom. There's no do it my way. This is you and how you show up most authentically. And this is your business model that's most integrated right now. So when you invest in being in the right room, and when I say room, I mean mastermind, collaboration community, association, coaching program, any of it, whatever you're investing in, I want you to ask yourself 3 things. Does it feel like I'm in the right place? Meaning I can be myself, even if it's not always perfect. I feel like I'm constantly leveling up. I feel inspired to be the best version of me. And 2, there are people in those spaces that you deeply enjoy spending time with, and you co-create new opportunities together. And 3, it's aligned with your values. And that doesn't mean that you won't hear things that don't feel right. Not every space is 100% perfect, but does the room you're in line up with what you hold sacred about your identity, about your business values, and about the industry you want to help to co-create? And I guess let's put a 4th in here. Are the people in the room energetically matching the level of success that I am and that I want to be? And let's just say 50 to 60% of the people in the room are that for you. Okay? Because there will be people at different stages, but you need to make sure you at least have some people in there that show up and bring it for you. And ultimately, that's what helps me make the decision about, am I in the right room? Okay, there's something that I'm there to learn. There's some way I'm meant to grow. There are people that I deeply enjoy and I actually build friendships with and we can collaborate with. And I genuinely like a majority of the people and want to co-create something together. So let's do a quick recap. What I'm doing is I'm inviting you to look at key areas of your business and your brand and your identity and ask yourself, what decision do I need to make that would help me to be leading in my industry, leading the conversation, leading the energy, and being the leader that I feel proud of? So we got to look at, do you have the right team? Are you sharing the right kind of content? Are you leading that conversation? Or are you just showing up safe? Are you packaged, positioned, and priced to match the transformation that you're here to deliver, really deliver? Are you owning your spotlight? And are you investing in the right rooms that operate like a rising tide? Okay, so those are 5 decisions I want you to reflect on. You might even take it into your year-end assessment and planning for the new year. And if you are feeling called to be exploring new communities, or you just simply want to add another one to your networking and your collaboration sphere, then check out the Rising Tide Collective. I will link it up here in the show notes. As I close out today's episode, I'd love to hear from you. What sparked you? What was an aha? What was an insight? Come drop into my DMs wherever we are connected. And if we're not connected, let's fix that on social media. And if there was something that really moved you in today's episode, would you share it with your community? All right, we'll see you again next week. Thanks for tuning in today, Amplifier. We're going to keep this conversation going, and I want to hear from you how you're going to amplify your authority and make a greater impact. Before you go, please take a minute to give our show and our guests some love over on your favorite podcasting platform. Subscribe, rate, and review. Leave your full name, and I'll spotlight you and your authority on social media.